The sun is hitting your pavement on a Tuesday morning that feels eerily quiet. It's day 4 without electricity, and the boundary between normal life and the unknown is starting to blur. You're outside breathing in the still air when a clean, shaven man in a bright safety vest pulls up. He isn't aggressive, he's actually quite pleasant. There's no weapon on his hip, just a digital tablet and a badge. Representing a local task force, he explains that the neighborhood clinic is desperate, their backup systems are bone dry. He asks if you happen to have a few spare cans of gasoline. You find yourself nodding, driven by a sense of civic duty and the desire to be a good neighbor. In that quiet moment, you weren't a victim of a crime. You were integrated into a logistics plan. This isn't a scene from a Hollywood thriller. It is the mundane reality of how state authority functions during a collapse. Today at La Survivor, we are diving into the inventory of a crisis, the specific assets the system targets first, and the historical proof that your biggest threat isn't a masked intruder but a polite request backed by a mandate. People usually visualize a crackdown as a series of smashed windows and shouting soldiers. Reality is much more administrative. History proves that resources are reclaimed through paperwork, executive decrees, and the quiet cooperation of a public that respects the law. When a state of emergency is declared, the authorities stop asking for permission and start auditing locations. They aren't acting out of malice, they are reacting to the fact that their own infrastructure has crumbled, and they need your supplies to keep the gears turning. The very first thing they will look for is your energy. Fuel is the lifeblood of a functioning society. Without it, the trucks stop, the water pumps die, and the lights go out in surgery under frameworks like the Defense Production Act. Your private fuel stash can be reclassified as a strategic asset the second the commercial supply chain snaps. We saw this during the global conflicts of the 1940s and the energy droughts of the 1970s. If the authorities can see it, track it, or find it on a registry, it's no longer your property. It's a line item on an emergency ledger. At La Survivor, we believe true resilience isn't about having the biggest pile, it's about having the most private one. Then there is the matter of your hard assets, like gold and silver. While many see these as the ultimate hedge, history shows that governments view them as a threat to monetary stability. Think back to 1933 and Executive Order 6102. The American government didn't go door to take gold. They simply stripped it of its utility. By making it illegal to use or trade, they turned a liquid asset into a liability. In a modern collapse, they wouldn't need to seize your coins. They would just isolate you from the digital financial grid. The takeaway from the past is clear. Wealth that depends on a functioning system to have value becomes a trap. When that system turns inward, true readiness isn't a dream of trading coins for bread. It's about the agility to move through a world where the old rules have been rewritten. Food shortages rarely begin with an empty stomach. They begin with a suspicious glance. When the rest of the block is skipping meals and looking haggard, the person with the well-fed glow and the humming generator becomes a target of resentment. Historically, anti-hoarding laws are among the first to be enacted during a famine or war. It's a tool used to prevent social unrest. By framing individual preparation as a crime against the collective, long before a deputy knocks on your door, your own neighbors will be the ones enforcing the new standard of fairness. True preparedness isn't about looking like you have everything, it's about looking like you have nothing. Beyond physical goods, the most tightly guarded resource in a disaster is the flow of information. Whether it's radio waves or the local fiber optic lines, the state will move to dominate the narrative to prevent mass panic. History suggests that having an independent way to communicate makes you a person of interest. Technology is a lifeline only if it remains invisible to those monitoring the airwaves. There is one final asset that almost no one accounts for: your own labor. In a deep crisis, your professional skills are treated as a public utility. If you are an electrician, a nurse, or a mechanic, you may find your volunteer services legally required by the local authorities. You aren't being kidnapped, you are being reassigned. The system isn't trying to be the villain. It's a drowning entity grabbing onto anything that still floats. The problem is that quite often, you are the thing that still floats. The chronicles of history show us that your survival isn't determined by the gear in your garage, but by the size of your footprint. Readiness isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, It's about being the one who understands the new landscape before the maps are redrawn. Stay sharp, stay quiet, and keep following l'arway survivor. For the strategies that actually keep you under the radar when it matters most,